Stargirl, episode 7, I believe. We're up to episode 7, Summer School. It's your boy Icon, and we are kicking off another week of superhero television. We will call episode 7, based on what happened, we're going to call this one Trauma. So the episode starts with Yolanda, and this episode was actually all about Yolanda, who's still working at the diner. And while she's working at the diner, Eclipso was around, because remember, he had turned himself into a little child, and now he's walking around Blue Valley wreaking havoc all across the land. But I guess he realizes that the new JSA, like, they do pose a threat to him. They do raise concern. So because they raise concern, we're doing the divide and conquer. And he's trying to get into their heads. Because he's not going after everybody in the town. He's specifically targeting like the JSA members, because these are the people who have the power to stop him. And I believe this is where the Green Lantern girl comes in at, which is why they got her off TV, because if she was still around, she probably could have taken care of him in an instant. When Yolanda's at work, she's talking to one of her coworkers, and then that rude guy that keeps coming in, that old trucker man, Tyler, like, get me some coffee, like the coworker, she tells Yolanda, she's like, oh, I'll go handle him. And then while Eclipso's in the diner, nobody notices him because he's a child. He ends up getting into the head of the coworker, and he forces the coworker to pour coffee all over the customer. Customer gets mad. The manager tells the woman to go home. Then Yolanda's like, oh my God, what happened? She actually sees Eclipso, and she talks to Eclipso as a child, and she tells him like, oh, don't worry, little boy, everything will be okay. And in Eclipso's mind, he's like, gotcha, bitch. And then throughout the entire episode, she was wigging out because she was seeing Brainwave. And Eclipso did it perfectly, to where he got into her head using something that's so realistic and something that she would believe, to the point where it couldn't be traced back to him. Because there was a moment where she saw Brainwave. She even saw Brainwave Jr. And there was a moment where like Brainwave Jr. told her, he was like, oh, my body's stuck in purgatory because you never forgave me. Brainwave had even said, that he said that you enjoyed, standing over my body as I bled out, for the last time. But then he said before I passed away, I sent a piece of my brainwave power into your mind, and I exist in your mind, and soon my mind is taking over your mind, and I'll take over your body. Wahahaha. And the thing is, that's something that's believable. Like, the fact that Brainwave said that to her, she can believe that, and that's something she can honestly believe can happen. So that goes to show you like how smart Eclipso is, as far as like how he trapped her. But the one thing that Yolanda's not thinking about, and she's not thinking about this because she's in a trauma situation, if Brainwave was really in her mind, he wouldn't have his power. Because if Brainwave puts his mind in Yolanda's body doesn't have the metagene to operate the, the psychic, like the mental superpower. So he wouldn't have his power even if he was able to put himself in her mind. But she didn't think about that because, again, like, she's too busy like wigging out, so like she's running around, she's going to church, she's talking to the priest. And here's the funny thing. It's not a situation where Yolanda's just being haunted, and she's just like, oh my God, I'm a horrible person. I'm a terrible person. She's at a point now where she's come to terms with it. And not only did she actually accept, her quote unquote destiny or her fate, she said to the priest that since God doesn't exist on Earth, which again, this goes to show you that she's not paying attention, because, if you're Catholic, they teach you that God is everywhere. So for her to say, if God's not on Earth and the devil is on Earth, and there's something truly evil on Earth, isn't it our job to kill it or to take care of it and get rid of it, because it represents like the truest evil out there? And now we're in the territory of her being afraid or being traumatized by killing Brainwave, to the point where actually she's like, yo, I think this is my job now. Like, so she's like, it's a dirty job and somebody got to do it. So she had a conversation with the rest of the group. She brought everybody in, and then Courtney tried to say like, oh, like nobody's going to judge you or whatever. So, she ended up telling, Rick and Beth that she actually did kill Brainwave. She cut his throat. And then everybody was shocked. And Rick tried to salvage it because Rick was just like, listen, you did what you had to do. And then Yolanda countered that because Yolanda was trying to do the whole thing of, oh, I'm a bad person versus the rest of you guys. And then Rick was just like, no, he was like, because you just did what you had to do in the moment. And then she said, if that's the case, why didn't you kill Grundy? And Rick lied and said that his hour was up, and Yolanda didn't believe him. She was like, bullshit. But see, and here's the problem with Rick. Like, these kids don't think very well, like, in the moment. If you were Rick and, Yolanda said what she said, all Rick had to say was, because when she was just like, oh, why didn't you kill Solomon Grundy? All you had to say was, he could have even been like, I felt sorry for Grundy. He could have said that. And then Yolanda would have been like, oh, that means you don't have the killer instinct within your heart. All Rick had to say, I was beating Grundy's ass. And yes, I did want to kill Grundy. And my intent was to kill Grundy to get revenge from my parents. But the problem is, I was whooping his ass so bad, Grundy wasn't fighting back. And not only was he not fighting back, he was actually cowering in fear. And it's at a point, and I think I even said that in my Stargirl season finale review. Now that you're sniveling in the corner, because like you're Grundy, you're like big bad, like Solomon Grundy. But now that you're sniveling in the corner, like please don't hit me, it's like now you just took the fun out of it, And if I was Rick, I would have been like, my intent was to kill him, but once he stopped fighting back, the desire to do it just kind of went away because it's no fun doing it if you're not gonna put up a street. It's like he took the fun out of it. So that's all he had to say. Versus Brainwave, because Brainwave was legitimately taunting Yolanda, which is why Yolanda got angry enough to slit his throat. So that's all Rick really had to say. But then Rick didn't have an answer for her. And oh God! And then they turned to Beth, and then they were just like, oh, what about you, Beth? And then Beth was like, I don't know, Yolanda, you murdered. So I was like, oh no. I was like, why are we doing this to Beth? Like, I'm not like, oh God, I'm not liking what they're doing with Beth this season. Like, come on. Like, are you like, they're just, it's almost, Beth's not that naive of a person. She's not that naive of a person. They're trying to make Beth seem like she's the sniveling, timid, oh my God, oh, I can't believe you murdered. I mean, first of all, like, Pat's son killed somebody. And like, yeah, she ain't acting weird around Pat's son. And even Pat's son, he admitted to the family earlier, he was like, look, I killed him by accident. He said, I got in the car, I was trying to run like a coward, and then he just landed in the street and I accidentally hit him. But after that, and then it's like, Yolanda knows, but it's like, first of all, everybody knows how Beth is. So the fact that Beth took the coward's way out of that conversation, Yolanda shouldn't even have been surprised. And Yolanda put too much stock in Beth not approving or being on the fence about whether or not she's a quote unquote bad person. But then Yolanda got up and she was like, first of all, she was just like, we're supposed to be a team of superheroes. We're fighting supervillains. We're fighting Eclipso, who's out there like, doing what he's doing, and he's making people go crazy. This doesn't end with him being trapped, like in the shadow realm. Like, somebody gonna have to kill this dude. And apparently after this conversation, nobody at this table has the cojones to, to kill somebody. And she's just like, it's gonna have to be me again. She's like, when the decision is made to put Eclipso down for good, she's like, I'm gonna have to do it because y'all can't do it. And there's some facts to that. Then later on in the episode, she was at summer school. And then, she started having like, Eclipso got in her head more. She started having more brainwave trauma. And then Brainwave was taunting her and he was talking to her. And then she was going back and forth. And then, after that, like there was a moment where Courtney showed up. Courtney tried to save her. And, she saw a vision, her killing Brainwave again because she was convinced that Brainwave was the one who was getting in her head. And then the image turned from Brainwave to Brainwave Jr., and then he was like holding his throat. And then she was just like, oh my God, I took an innocent life. And then she freaked out. And then Courtney actually did show up, and Courtney was able to reel her back in because she took Yolanda's hand and put Yolanda's hand on the staff, and the light from the staff is what counteracts the darkness from Eclipso. And then Yolanda came back, and then after Yolanda like snapped out of like that nightmare fantasy that she was in, she actually had the nerve. And this is the one moment where I'll defend Courtney because I really haven't been on board with Courtney's attitude this whole season, but I'm gonna defend Courtney in this one little moment right here, because after Courtney snapped Yolanda out of the nightmare, and then she asked her, was she okay? Yolanda had the audacity to turn to Courtney and be like, no, I'm not okay, and it's your fault. And I was like, how dare you? Like, even Courtney looked at her like, bitch. And then she was like, oh, I just wanted to be left alone after my titties got displayed all over the high school. And she was like, I just wanted to be downstairs practicing my boxing or whatever. And then she was like, you made me Wildcat. You chose me to be And I'm like, ain't nobody tell you to put on the damn suit? And here's the funny thing. She actually told Courtney, she was just like, oh, I don't want to be Wildcat anymore. I'm never putting on the suit again. Okay, fine. I ain't see you get that shit back though. Like she didn't give her the suit back. Like she quit the team, but she still got the suit. I'm just saying, there wasn't a scene where Courtney had the suit in her room trying to find a new Wildcat. So that right there is some BS. But Eclipso did his job because as far as the divide and conquer is concerned, he got Yolanda to quit the team, and she removed herself and she separated herself from the rest of the JSA. So that's like one down, and now he focused on the others because at the end of the episode, he was camping outside of Beth's window. And I'm going to be 100% real. If I'm Eclipso, you might as well start on Rick because it will literally take no effort whatsoever for you to talk Beth out of joining this team. All Eclipso has to do is knock on Beth's door and be like, quit the JSA, and she's like, Courtney, I resign. Like go after Rick, dude, because Rick at least will put up a struggle. So, and I'm surprised he did go after Yolanda first, but Yolanda does have the most realistic trauma that he can use to turn against her. And then Courtney was like blowing up Yolanda's phone, and then her mama, who I can't stand either, her mama picked up the phone and she was like, oh, don't call my daughter again with your bad influence. And I'm like, bitch, like I never liked her mom, both of her parents, to be honest with you. And then, like she called the diner, like the diner called, and then the mom spoke to the diner. She's like, oh, she doesn't want to work at your diner anymore. And then she was like, well, she always has a home, she always has a job if she wants a job. Then her mom hang up on, at least she don't work at the diner anymore. Because Jessica King is 100% right. Like, you hit me up on the last Stargirl review and you said I got my wish. You damn right I got my wish. That girl finally quit the diner. Like, she never should have had that job to begin with. Anyway, so she quit the diner. She quit and it's like, and that's awkward because it's like, when you're a teenager, and this is one of the things that kills me. When you're a teenager, there's no such thing as, oh, I'm going to quit the JSA. I'm going to quit my job. You're going to see these people at school tomorrow. You still go to summer school with Courtney. Like, you just can't go to school and act like nobody's there. Like, that's like, so we haven't seen the last of Yolanda as far as this whole crazy situation is concerned. And in other news, the mom got a visit from the Shade because Barbara was at work and they were trying to decide what to do with some town or some factory or something. Some white chick was hating, and then Barbara shut it down. She got all the votes on her side. And then when she went back into her office, like the Shade called out to her, and then he kind of like appeared in the sky, and then she just saw like a black cloud of smoke, and then she went back and told everybody like, yo, I think the Shade is alive. So we still got that whole thing hanging over our heads. Pat and his son, they started the repairs on the robot. I'm surprised the mechanic guy didn't show up. That was actually weird because this is like his moment to shine, and like he's nowhere to be seen. Beth is still trying to find Dr. Mid-Nite. Rick is still lying about the Solomon Grundy thing. He's keeping that a secret, but that secret will come out next week. I saw the coming attractions for that. And for the love of God, what happened to Starman? This is the longest drive I have ever. It is taking this man forever to get to Blue Valley. Dear God, like, for the love of Christ, how is he like walking to Blue Valley? Like, how is this man getting to Blue Valley? So that was it. Nothing from Artemis, or because again, Artemis is still in the wind. Nothing from Cindy, who's trapped in the Shadow Realm. And then they said that the Fiddler kid, he dead. But I said, we'll see what happens, because next week's episode is gonna be focused on Rick, and like I said, with the whole Grundy thing. So we'll see about that. So Rick's gonna quit the team next week. Actually, they'll probably Rick and Bethel. Like, what's gonna happen is Eclipso is gonna get Rick to quit the team, and then after Eclipso gets Rick to quit, Beth will just resign because nobody else is there because Beth is a coward. So that was it. Thanks for tuning in. Leave your questions, comments, and or concerns down below. What do you think about this particular episode of Stargirl? What do you think about the Yolanda trauma? How soon before Yolanda comes back? Are we going to have the whole team broken up for a couple of episodes and then everybody gets back together? Or is it like officially done? Because, it wasn't like a send-off. It didn't feel like the actress was leaving the show. So, she'll obviously come back at some point. But like I said, share your thoughts down below. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Instagram. Hit me up on YouTube as always. Hit the notification bell so you get notified when my other videos come up, because Doom Patrol came back, and not only did Doom Patrol come back, they gave us 3 episodes. So now we're doing Titans and Doom Patrol at the same time, which is new for HBO Max because they never really roll those shows out together. We got Doom Patrol, we got Titans, we still doing Marvel's What If, we got Supergirl, and we got that Stargirl. So thanks for tuning in, guys. So for next week, for some more drama, take care, and I'm out this bitch!